recording too. Great. Let me share my screen too. Everybody, we're going to let everybody join. All right. Give it another second or two. I think we've got a few hundred, I think over 300 attendees. It's extraordinary to watch that number just climb, 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 climb. All right. All right, folks are still filing into the Zoom. We'll give it another minute before we get started. Welcome, everybody. Okay, we're getting folks filing in. It's definitely, like the screen looks like it's moving pretty slow. But I think we're going to go ahead and get started soon. We'll start with an introduction from FMC, and then I'll do a little housekeeping, and then we'll go right into presentation. So I'm going to turn it over to our Executive Director, Ben Feldman. Take it away, Ben.
Thanks, Dar. Appreciate that. Welcome to everybody joining us on our call today. Thank you so much to all of the presenters. I would just like to take a moment to recognize that these are, of course, unusual circumstances, and a global pandemic is one of these moments where we all feel it. We all feel it differently. The impacts within our individual communities are obviously different and varied, and that really reflects what it's like to be running farmers markets at any given time. But in particular, this situation highlights that. And it's important for us at FMC to be able to try and, as much as possible, represent those different perspectives and serve those different needs. Our community of market operators is certainly a diverse community, and one in which our goal is to provide those resources and support for market operators of all types. And for those of you who may not be as familiar with Farmers Market Coalition's work, over the past year, we've been working to clarify our work through a strategic planning process. And the piece that I really want to bring up out of that, while there's a lot there, is that our work is primarily about supporting farmers market operators, the organizations and individuals who run farmers markets, so that they can have strong markets in order to support the values and the goals of their individual markets and their individual communities, regardless of what those impacts might be. So for those of you who've been on our previous webinars, find those useful, today's webinar useful, please do think about joining, become a member of FMC if you aren't already. We have relationships with state partner organizations in about half of the states in the US that allows you to join FMC through that state partner membership. If you're not in one of those states, please do think about joining directly. Your participation in our membership is part of what allows us to be able to put on these types of webinars and also allow us to understand what's happening in markets across the country and be able to represent that back to you all in webinars like this. So without further ado, I'll pass it back over to Dar. You're muted, still, Dar.
Thank you. Thanks, Ben. I mean, this is exactly what we want to do at FMC is to be able to respond to your needs, to be able to have a conversation, to be able to bring you your the markets that are doing the kind of work that you want to know about. Because of course, as we've always said at FMC, you are the experts. Farmers markets are the experts, and that is exactly the way that FMC has always existed. It has always been something that very clearly is about making sure that farmers markets themselves are the experts and they're able to share, whether on our resource library, whether on webinars, whether on calls, on our listserv. All of those have been put to great use, I think, during this particular crisis. As I was just talking to a market partner the other day, and they asked about how we were able to get so much information so quickly on our website, and we said, markets just sent it to us. That's the beauty of this field. It never required us to sort of pry it out of hands. People are great about sharing with us. And so we're talking today about online platforms for shopper pre-orders. There are lots of different kinds of platforms for sales. We know in the farmers market, in the local food community, this webinar is definitely designed to focus on shopper pre-order platforms, meaning shopper can go pick items, order, and then come pick it up from vendors. We wanted to stick to one style platform, even though even in that one type of platform, there are lots of ways one can handle it. And we think we've given you a couple of great, 5 different great presenters who can tell you exactly their version of this model. So what we asked for from Farmers Market, we asked markets to tell us what kind of platform they were using. And then we asked a bunch of questions about what kind of market they had, how old it was, what their average vendors were, budget, things like that, why they wanted to use a platform, which platform they picked, and what were the costs of that platform, how many vendors are now using that platform, the biggest benefit to it, the drawback, and what wish they knew beforehand. All of those questions were ones that you had sent us asking when you heard about this webinar that you would have liked to know about these platforms. So we have 6 different presenters today with very, very different ways they're doing this, and you can see them listed here on the screen. Nelson, Aaron, Rachel, Martha, Lee, and Jackie all are actually involved with running a market and building a platform or running a platform for their market. Some of them are doing it just right now for this moment for the very first time. Some have been working on it a very long time, so that's exciting as well. Some are third-party platforms, some are their own platforms. And some are a little bit more DIY with the vendor platform. So we tried to capture the breadth of experience out there so that you could find out exactly what everybody's doing. If you have questions for this presenters, you'll see a Q&A on your screen to type in a question. We have so many people viewing this webinar. I doubt we'll have a chance to actually call on all of you to actually have you ask questions. So we'd prefer that you type in your question to the Q&A screen. Look for the Q&A screen, type your question in, and the presenters are going to be watching that screen and typing in answers to your question. And if more than one person can answer it, they will. If there's anything that no one can answer, we can't find an answer for, we'll follow up on that. But all of the Q&A will be downloaded and sent out as a resource after as well. So you'll have actually all the answers to it. Obviously, if there's a particular platform that you're interested in and that presenter wants more information, you could always talk to them afterwards as well. Okay, so we're going to just move right into our first presenter, who's Nelson Lee, in the Metuchen Farmers Market, New Jersey. So I'm going to stop sharing my screen. I'm going to have folks actually turn off their video so that we can save ourselves some bandwidth. And we're going to let Nelson share his screen and get going. Thank you. Great, we can see it, Nelson.
I'm really proud to be part of the Farmers Market FM Coalition community and helping share the things that I've learned in this interesting past month or two. So introduction, first slide. Our market's over 20 years old. We're in New Jersey, sort of central New Jersey near New Brunswick. I've been manager for the past 10 years. And when we started out, when I started out taking over 10 years ago, we had 3 vendors, and now we're at 18 vendors, really food focused. And that's the number for our summer market. A couple of years ago, we extended the season due to popular demand, or rather we created a winter market as well. That was once a month. And it was actually because of the winter market that really spurred us into finding an alternative, which we'll be talking about soon. We're a very volunteer kind of inclined community. I have 30 people who have volunteered to help both sign up for on-site management shifts. That's being in the market and counting shoppers and answering questions, things like that. And for this particular online project, I'd enlisted 12 buddies who were and are tech savvy type people who basically partnered up with each of the vendors to help hold their hand through the onboarding process, because some vendors are less adept at getting into the tech world, and so appreciated having someone they could just work one-on-one with. And that also helped us go quicker, because then we're not requesting resources from the vendor or the online platform vendor, because they're really swamped and thin on resources. And then lastly, I had 6 trustees on my board. All these people together just shows how so many people come together to make this market happen. Our budget is relatively small since we only have 18 vendors. We have less than $20,000 in revenues. We have overhead expenses like insurance and things, but we also make sure we spend money on local musicians who perform every Saturday. That equation, of course, will change with the online environment. And then the last question is about SNAP. We don't do SNAP right now, but I'm always reconsidering that question year after year as situations change. Okay, so why go online? Like I mentioned, and as we all know, COVID-19, and we had an existing winter market, so we wanted to replace that. People wouldn't be missing that. And then we also changed the frequency from monthly to weekly. I started talking with my board in early March about what the COVID-19 was going to mean to all of us. And we foresaw the need to keep food available and support farmers. So it was a pretty, I guess, important reason to try and speed up and be quick about responding to the situation. So we were very adamant about having a no-touch market, and that resolved into 2 pieces: the online piece, which we talk about today, and then the pickup piece, which we have a solution for as well. The future of where the market's going to be, online version of this market's going to go, we don't know. But I could see that even as we transition into something that more resembles a real market or a regular market, I think the online pre-ordering is still helpful, because that way people can still do pre-ordering and go to the market later, and then have things they wanted to purchase instead of rushing to be there at 9 o'clock in the morning, the first one to make sure things aren't sold out. So I think with the intention of thinning out crowds over the course of the day, pre-ordering will be a good solution towards that. So it was around mid-March. I was doing this intense research, and the board gave me the go-ahead to start looking at the virtual market. I did a broad survey and a deep dive into 4 different options, and I decided LocalLine was the best based on my research. I gave a presentation to my board. They agreed, and these are the reasons why I was really in favor of LocalLine. Number one is they have no transaction fee. Some platforms do, and I felt it was very important, though, for the farmers to not be burdened with that extra cost that's so unpredictable. Rather, there's a flat fee that LocalLine charges me, and then I in turn charge back to the farmers, just like regular market fees, monthly market fees. So that was really nice. LocalLine has a market option that has 2 different flavors. One's called a market option and one's called a hub option. And we really liked the market option because it allowed us to stay out the transactions. So the shoppers do their buying, they do their checkout, and then the transactions go directly with each vendor, and we don't have to get involved in it. Also, what I liked about Local Line is that it's an existing product that's been in use for several years. Because one of the options was a kind of customized existing product, but it wasn't quite ready for farmers yet. So we didn't want to get involved in a spec operation. Secondary reasons, it was built for farmers. So this is not some repurposed software, but it was originally built for farmers. It's affordable and there's no contract, so we can go month to month and not feel obliged, to be committed to a year-long contract or such. So for those reasons, we chose Local Line. Our participation, as of yesterday, we have 5 active participants. 4 of them farmers and one's a pickle and olive person. And we have other vendors who are in various stages of participating. For various reasons, they're sort of still in the process. We are being very careful about who we invite to be part of this online environment. We do want to prioritize the farmers, both produce farmers and animal farmers, because it's our local food community that we're supporting here in New Jersey. Also, just talking a bit about the pickup cycle, I think the logistics around pickup are fairly complex and get more complex the more vendors you add to the pickup line. So we want to keep that as minimally congested as possible. So the benefits, I think you would all understand that the shoppers are really grateful to have a no contact shopping pickup. Just to clarify, we do a drive-through pickup. So no one gets out of their car. We have a couple of volunteers managing traffic, but no one talks we minimize the talking necessary between people. So we have a couple of signs that ask questions like, if you're done, put your hazard lights on. If you're want to skip ahead, then turn your left flasher on. I'm sorry, instead of actually getting off topic, we're supposed to be talking about the online version. The vendors are doing great sales. We created the branded landing page. So this allows to drive the shoppers to a place that can further bring in other Metuchen community entities like our Downtown Alliance. They have something called Feed the Front Line. And so by having this virtual market landing page, we're able to publicize that more before going into the Local Line environment. The drawbacks, well, of course, everything new has a learning curve. And after the first week, I thought to myself, what have I gotten myself into? Because I've answered so many emails and so many phone calls and web page, Facebook inquiries about how things worked. But eventually that tailed off as people understood, the various deadlines and procedures and such. So it's actually been very, very little additional work recently. On the vendor side, I know just from talking with them, that's a lot more work for them to have to fill orders and package everything up with the shoppers' names and such, and then organize in a fashion that's quick and easy to pick up. But I think that's inevitable, and so just part of the territory doing something new, and that's just something we deal with. There was one question I didn't have an answer to before, which was, what do I wish I knew? What do I wish I know now that I didn't know then? Basically, the way that Local Line handles names. First name and last name are optional. The username is a free text field, and it's only the customer name that gets printed out on the invoices that the vendors use to tag their various purchases. So a little rigor around shoppers using those fields would have gone a long way towards making the process smoother. But again, things are getting worked out. So we have our pickups every Saturday in a parking lot, various links, my contact information, and I'll close up here and give the other people a chance to jump in.
Great, thank you, Nelson. Well, you're going to have a lot of questions already on the both in the open and answered, and of course, as a you could go ahead and unshare your screen. Thank you so much, folks. I didn't say this is my mistake. Do try to type in the person who you're asking the question of in the beginning of your question. It helps a lot. I mean, if you want to say all presenters, great. If you're asking a specific question to a specific presenter, that would be helpful. And if you feel like your question was not answered the way you want, you're welcome to go ahead and submit it again. You can cut and paste right back into open if you want. I mean, I definitely have seen both ways. We are looking at both answered and open, but in case you feel like you really want to get it to a specific person, definitely add their name to that so that they know to look for it. And now we'll have Nelson be looking in there, answering questions. Okay, next up is another local line market, Erin Molnar from Countryside in Ohio, who has presented with us before. Thank you as always, Erin. And she's going to talk about her market process in Ohio with the local line.
Can we see my screen?
Yes.
Great. All right, so Nelson did a great job. Some of this is going to be, reiterate some of those points. Countryside Farmers Markets was in its winter market season when COVID came down. So we adapted our winter market. This Saturday would have been the opening day for our outdoor market at Hell Meadow. We're continuing the Countryside Curbside, which is our pre-order pickup option at this point through probably May at least. Beyond that, TBD. On the screen are some facts about the markets, vendors, average customers, average sales. We do collect sales data from all of our vendors. Fee structure and budget. It's a little blurry because we operate both these markets as well as a third main season market. But that's kind of how it balances out. We do accept SNAP. We also offer Produce Perks, which is Ohio's nutrition incentive for SNAP. Staff-wise, there's 2 market staff that are full-time. There's me, who's the program director. I don't typically spend a lot of active time on the markets because they were pretty well-oiled machines pre-COVID. We have an office manager who helps with the accounting. We have a marketing staff member who helps with the messaging, and that has certainly been critical. And then we have a CEO. So when COVID hit and we were faced with the decision, our winter market operates in a private school. They were shut down, obviously, so we couldn't use that space. And Ohio had a pretty aggressive response to COVID, and we were committed to still serving our mission, providing support to farmers and connecting them with customers in the safest way possible. So we decided pre-order and pickup only, pre-order, prepay, and pickup, and felt that a centralized platform would be the most effective way to do that for multiple reasons. One is the ease for the shopper. One was facilitating that for vendors in the market. We were concerned that vendors operating individual platforms would put a troubleshooting burden on us that we didn't necessarily feel capable of handling. We also felt that compared to a modified physical market, particularly in March and April in Ohio, this had more opportunity to be financially viable for vendors than a modified physical market moved outside, and we would potentially be able to benefit more producers. The centralized platform also allowed us to adjust our operations for sure, but continue to accept SNAP and offer Produce Perks. This is just a picture of the local line store and what it looks like. For SNAP, there is a second version of this website that is kind of invite only. You have to add the customer beforehand. We collect that information via a form, and then we invite them to the SNAP catalog, which at the end of it does not prompt that customer for payment by a credit card. So I manually review those transactions and apply Produce Perks as appropriate. Of note, Produce Perks currently has a 100% match. It is usually a $20 match. So it was important to us for our customers to be able to take advantage of that. Just briefly, this is what our logistics look like. To minimize contact and help protect the vendors, we actually only have customers stop 3 times with vendors clustered around those stations. We have volunteers who help us collect the products when the customers arrive. They have scheduled pickup windows. But that is, you know, probably a much deeper topic for a different webinar. But I'm happy to answer questions in the chat box or offline about that. This is some of the data that we have so far. There was actually a week before week 1 where things did not go well and we totally restructured. That is, again, a whole different webinar. So this just includes the past 3 weeks where things have gone much smoother. We scaled back after the first debacle to 10 vendors and have been increasing ever since. There's a typo here. Last week's vendors, 425 should be 26 vendors, not 15. Actually, most of that slide is wrong, or most of that box is wrong. Sales were like 18,000 in week 3. This week, we did 254 orders for a total of 20,000, basically, with 32 vendors. For fees, we're collecting $20 per month from vendors, which directly covers the cost of local line, and then 6% of their sales, which is in line with our standard market fees. We typically have a minimum, so during the winter, it's a $25 minimum or 6% of sales, whichever is higher. That 6% of sales does manage to cover the processing fees. In order to balance that budget, we are also charging customers a pickup fee of $3. We did not increase to $7.50 this week. That decision was made after I made this presentation. We will likely increase to $7.50 next week or the week after. Supplies is, we invested in some walkie-talkies, some bins to collect product from the vendors at different stations. Increased staff time, which isn't an increase in like budgeted dollars or spent dollars on that, but my time is not usually so invested. So sort of the project budget does increase based on the way that I've been directly involved, as well as increased contributions by other staff members. And then we've also found that we need to budget for some customer service issues. I would say that the benefits have been that we have seen a dramatic increase and are able to support producers and have still been able to work towards our mission. Some of the drawbacks at this point, you know, like Nelson mentioned, it is a labor-intensive order prep process for Countryside, and based on what he mentioned about the customer name, there is that for vendors as well. Prepping all those orders is a lot of work. It's very volunteer intensive. We do have an order cap, which is not ideal, but we couldn't facilitate this without that. We also have some, you know, upcoming concerns about how well this can work as produce increases and the types of produce increase, both from the logistical side, like how do you effectively pre-pack 6 heirloom tomatoes to, you know, do customers want somebody selecting their heirloom tomatoes for them? There was a question in the chat box about local line crashing. It did crash yesterday, which was problematic, and there was some messaging and challenges as a result of that. But I have been incredibly impressed and pleased with local lines responses to technical issues, both just general troubleshooting, how do I do this, but also higher level server type things. You know, who knew that demand for local food could crash a system? So they are in a tough spot, and like us and our market and our vendors, they're, you know, is this a blip 3 months from now if everybody can reopen physical markets in, you know, a less modified way? Are they going to lose all their business? So I have a lot of patience and grace for their challenges, and it's just a reality of technology. So that's about it. I will check the chat box now.
Great, thank you, Erin. Yeah, there are a lot of questions for both Nelson and Erin already. And remember, presenters, do check in that Q&A box even before you present, because there are things that all of you can answer, including questions that have already been answered that you can add another response to, I'm sure, on top of the one that's already been answered. So do be checking that Q&A, because there are quite a few really incredibly good questions in there, and that will help everybody at the end when we are able to share that with everybody. And so great. The next presenter is Rachel Byer from Bloomington, and exciting to, again, another platform, Local Foods Marketplace. This is one that a lot of you asked about, and we're very happy to have her present. And so I'm going to let her start. Rachel, go ahead. Great, we can see your screen.
Great, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, everybody. So my name is Rachel Byer, and I normally actually am a vendor at our farmers market in Bloomington, but for the past year, I've been working part-time on a farm to institution grant project for the city. And with all of our institutions closed down a few weeks ago because of the coronavirus, I had some spare grant hours available, and our local farmers market was at risk of having to shut down because our health department was concerned about, you know, too many customers and farmers being in the same place. So I'll give a little bit of history about the market, but I'm not the total expert on that, at least for the before we went online. So the Bloomington Farmers Market was founded back in 1975, and normally it's open April through November, both on Saturdays and Tuesdays. Every year we have an average of more than 100 vendors that contract with the farmers market. Regularly, the market has 1.5 full-time year-round staff, plus 5 to 6 hourly seasonal workers. There's a total revenue of about $120,000. And then there's always been on-site SNAP payment with a double market bucks program that can double up to $18 a week. And I believe prior to COVID-19, the average SNAP sales were about $30,000 or $40,000 a year. So again, this market has transitioned online really as a response to the COVID-19 crisis. So I was able to sort of pivot my grant hours to start working on figuring out a way to keep the market open in this new emergency public health context. And I reached out to a bunch of different online platforms, and the Local Food Marketplace folks were the first people to respond. They answered the phone and were really helpful, providing personal, direct customer service. I looked at a couple of examples of sites that they already had operating with different community groups, and really liked sort of the graphic and the straightforward customer experience. And also that in the future, if we decided we didn't need this direct-to-consumer format any longer, we could convert the platform to be more suited to a farm-to-institution or aggregation sort of system. So it cost us $1,675 for the setup, a 12-month subscription, and e-commerce functionality. So it could have been cheaper if we decided to do a shorter subscription period, but we decided to do the full 12 months. overall, I just really want to emphasize that my experience working with the local food marketplace team has been incredible. They've been so responsive to help us get set up really quickly and answering all of my questions, which were a lot over the time period where we were initially getting set up really promptly. So here's a screenshot of what the site looks like. We're currently open for shopping right now if people wanted to log in and take a look at what that's like. We have been capping the customer limit every week just because it was more than we could handle if we just left it open. So we've been doing the online format basically since the first Saturday in April. We've been averaging 35 to this week, I think we're up to about 45 vendors. The first week we had a customer limit of 500 orders and it was really intense. So we took it back down to 325 for the second week and we've been slowly increasing. Last week we did 630 orders and this week we're gonna do 750. The first 4 weeks was exclusively a drive-through format. We had our vendors come and set up in this big building we have, and basically we had a alphabetized sort of loop with vendor tables, and then vendors and community volunteers would fill orders as customers arrived in the parking lot and then take the things out to them. In May, we're transitioning to an outdoor controlled customer walkthrough pickup. So customers are still pre-ordering online, but the vendors are going to be back at our original location, but arranged alphabetically, and customers will be allowed in set numbers to go through the market and pick their ordered items. And we're transitioning to that format because the drive-through was just a huge amount of work and really wasn't going to be sustainable as our vendor counts increase into May. All of the payment for customers happens online with a credit card unless you are a SNAP customer. And then there's a special feature where when customers register, they select that they're a SNAP person, and then they don't have to pay until pickup on Saturday on site. So benefits and drawbacks. Drawbacks, the online system requires a lot of extra staff time, just not only in getting the platform set up, but in all of the tech questions that have to be answered for both vendors and customers. The drive-through distribution is a huge amount of organizational, logistical planning and manpower. For us last week with the 630 customers, we had 24 vendors, staff, and volunteers on site handling that for a full, basically 6 a.m. until 5 p.m. It was really a lot of work. And then of course it's difficult to please everyone with an online system. Some of the benefits, just that we've been able to keep market open for both vendors and customers. For the first month of April, we had over $125,000 in food sales, we allow farm vendors, plant vendors, and prepared food vendors that are normal vendors at our market. And it's been really interesting to collect sales records and data. That's something we never done before as a market. And we also think this is an opportunity to try something new and get our vendors interested in considering additional ways of selling food. So that's really a quick overview. Trying to think if there's anything else I should have covered. The local food marketplace system does have the capacity to generate some really interesting reports about products that are sold and sales totals generally and trends and things like that. It's really interesting to see. And we have it set up so vendors are paying $18 a day. That's our regular vendor fee. We haven't increased vendor fees at all through all of this. But customers, when they shop, a 5% credit card fee is added to all the prices that they see behind the scenes. We tell them about it in their checkout process, but we added that markup to cover the credit card fees so that vendors don't have to incur that expense. And I don't know, is there time? I have a little video that shows our distribution process. It's about 1 minute and 45 seconds.
Yeah, sure, go ahead.
Okay. Let's see, can you guys still see the?
Yes, we can.
Okay, I'll open this and then. So I will end there. Just wanted to let everybody know that if you have questions, I am happy to, answer emails or talk on the phone and troubleshoot with people who are trying to figure out how to do this and keep their markets open during this difficult time. And I appreciate the opportunity to present today.
Thank you. That was fantastic. People, of course, want to see the video connection, so a link to that might be helpful to have. Thanks so much. That's been great. Really appreciate that, Rachel. So next we're going to have Martha Archer present from Mill City Farmers Market, who has presented on the physical redesign webinar a few weeks ago, you may remember. And her model was significantly distinct from the others. And so I thought it would be great to bring her back. Rachel, go ahead and take it away.
Oh, this is Martha. Hold on just a second. I thought I had it. I think I need a, there we go.
Just staying through it.
Got it. Here we go.
There you go. Yeah, there it is.
Okay. So we are located in Minneapolis, Minnesota. And let's see, here's my slide. So make it big screen. There we go. Downtown Minneapolis. And we were founded in 2006. We're a year-round market. Average in the summer, as you can see on this crowded marketplace. We also go into that train shade on the left. So it's about twice as big as what you see here in this picture. We average about 4,000 to 5,000 customers in the summer with 60 vendors. We have 3 full-time staff, 2 very part-time year-round staff as well. And then on site any one Saturday as a manager plus 3 day staff. Our market budget is about $200,000. We also have a 501c3 charitable fund, and that budget is about $200,000. So that supports our educational programming as well as our farmer grant program. So the market is really the church parking lot market operations of a market, and the charitable fund supports everything else that we do. And we've been offering SNAP EBT since 2013 and have a state-funded $10 match. So we started after we had winter markets running when COVID and the shutdown hit, and wanted to be able to continue to provide food access to our neighborhood. So we pivoted quickly, and we've operated 3 winter markets, moved outside under a pre-order, online pre-order pickup market structure, 1 in March and 2 in April. And what we have done, sorry, there's a lot of text on this page, but what we did is actually had vendors create their own platforms. A lot of them are using Square Up. Some of them are using Local Line. Some of them are using Farmers Web, Barn to Door. We really are encouraging vendors to choose the one that it works the best for them. And the reason we did that is we saw some other models of aggregation going on and the amount of staff time and space needed. And we just don't have either of those things in order to aggregate for the size of our market community. We also believe that having vendors create their own would be transferable. Many of our vendors vend at other markets. So allowing them to take this platform either directly to the consumer or other markets, as well as scaling this up, really having something that could scale up to serve the community come July when we've got many more than we started with. We started with, I think, about 120 customers at the March market with about 11 vendors and probably 2 to 3 orders per customer. We scaled up by the last one in April. We had about 28 vendors, about 350 customers coming through with, again, 2 to 3 orders per, or customers are buying from 2 to 3 vendors. Cost for this, for us, since the platforms are all owned and operated by the vendors, really is not much, except for the staff time that we are putting into this. And we are really leaning in and supporting our vendors with all hands on deck. So we are in the trenches helping them build the website, troubleshooting it, working through language barriers, and really, as I like to say, teach a man to fish. We're getting them started and then taking evening and weekend calls and texts to troubleshoot as they go, as they load new items, as they want it to look differently, as they need more reminders for customer emails and things. We're doing that. And I've now hired a contractor who will be supporting that through the rest of the season. So I estimate that'll be probably about a $5,000 expense. We'll see, maybe more, but right now that's what we're forecasting. We used a reservation system that for pre-order pickup, just to control the number of customers coming through. We just used that for the last 3 winter markets. We are actually going to do away with that for now and see if the regular ebb and flow of market attendees will work. We just wanted to fairly safely scale up. So we are at this point taking the reservation system away and allowing the customers to shop normally from the vendors as well as pick up their pre-orders. So we'll be opening this weekend with 2 major changes. Will be a hybrid system as well as no reservations. We are reserving the first hour for customers who have immune compromised systems or are high risk, and then the rest of the market will be open. I think the benefits, obviously, of having these online order systems is a shorter transaction time. The packages are labeled, and for a jam vendor, it's very fast and easy, right? Labeled and ready to go. The customer can move right through, pick up that, and move to the next booth. It's a fast and easy shopping service. I talked to a customer today who was just thrilled. She thought it was actually for as impersonal as it is, she's used to stopping and chatting to all the vendors. It was very personal, with a note in her bag and just what she wanted. And hopefully this is all going to provide more transactions, double the basket size and more, allowing them to have more transactions because they'll be speedier. So a bit on Snap EBT, we for the pre-order only winter markets, we did allow Snap customers to email their orders in, call them in, and then come and pay at the market. And we'll still continue to do that, so they'll be able to reserve the products they want. But we're also going to allow walk-up customers, so EBT will be able to shop just like anybody else, and we're going to still have the token system in place this summer. What we learned and what we're still working on, it's a lot of customer behavior change, and we're really going to push them buying some sort of a small CSA type box instead of picking and choosing from an assortment. But the more we can support the standard assortment and selection, the easier the packing day is going to be for the farmers. But we know that's not going to happen in all cases, but we're really going to try to share that message For vendors, it's a ton of packing time and labor on farm, especially for the farmers, obviously. And the space and storage for those pre-orders, it takes up a lot of space. As somebody was talking about heirloom tomatoes, you can just think about a cooler full of carrots versus now a cooler full of mixed greens and tomatoes and carrots, and you just can't stack it as tight. So the space issue is huge, and we're all learning through that. I heard somebody else mention, but customers don't know what their names are. Their names are what they order under, who comes to pick it up, which credit card it's under, what their PayPal name is under. There's a lot of confusion around names, and we're just working through that. They often just forget what it's ordered under. The other issue is there's just a lot of packaging, and we were the first zero waste market in Minnesota and pride ourselves on that. And so we've gotten some pushback from customers on it, but are trying to work through it as best we can. But there's a lot of packaging everywhere amid COVID right now. So it's just one of the things that we are grappling with. The others that have come up since I put this slide together that we're working on, and some people have mentioned, is just technology and the bandwidth and the ability for equal access as well as capacity on the systems. We sent our email out yesterday for pre-orders for this weekend's market, and we crashed the server, which was a shared server with a lot of other food organizations in town. So there's quite a bit of demand, which is very exciting for this weekend and very nerve-wracking. So we will see how that works, but the managing it on any system and any system's capacity is going to be an issue, as well as just the workflow, both on farm or back in the kitchen and on site. As you see here, vendors trying to check the people off of the list and pack them up. So everybody's learning at a rapid pace. But it's working, and it worked for the last 3, and we're really excited. The weather is going to be warmer than this weekend. So we're looking forward to setting up outdoors. So I'll stop my share and answer questions on the chat. And again, also happy to answer any questions directly, email. Feel free to reach out to me if you have questions about how it works. But I think our vendors are very happy and with the system the way it is, and we feel that it's going to be scalable for them and for us.
Great. Thank you, Martha.
Yeah.
Right. All right. So we're going to another presenter who was also on our last webinar, which is so great that 2 of you were willing to join us again. And Lee from the Market at Pepper Place really is in a new model because they have created their own online platform, and so that is not for the faint at heart, I'm sure, which these folks are not. So she's going to go through her new platform. Go ahead, Lee.
Hi, you guys. I'm from Birmingham, Alabama. We have, had a little market season for a while. We're on the Market at Pepper Place, was, established 20 years ago. It's a nonprofit. Oh, wait a minute, crap, excuse me. I think I'm in the wrong place. Am I in the wrong place? Oh, there it is.
No, I can see. There you go.
Okay, they're good. Okay. We're the largest certified producers only market in Alabama. We operate Saturday mornings year round, rain or shine, in an historic district. You can see beautiful Birmingham there. We have about 10,000 visitors, on a summer Saturday. Usually have about 100 tents with, like a little bit more than, like around 2/3 are farmers. The rest are food producers and artisans. We've got live music, cooking demos, nonprofit tent, kids tent. We know we are the place to be on a Saturday morning in Birmingham. It's a pretty awesome market. You guys, I hope you'll come sometime. They did an economic impact study and recently and showed that we contribute 184 jobs and over $20 million to our city's economy, which is, that's the downtown. It's not that big of a city. So anyway, we're a force. We have full-time staff of 3. We have an hourly worker that handles SNAP at the market on the weekend. And we contract with the logistics crew. This is unique to us. who set up and take down tents and tables for all the vendors. So we're, you know, Southern, all like full service. We love to welcome people and make it, the market, being at the market, a good experience. Our projected revenue for this year was a lot, was like 400 grand, because like that includes sponsorships and grants. It's our 20th anniversary. We, you know, had a lot of stuff planned. We charge, you know, we have tent fees, and mostly our money comes from tent fees and as I said, grants and sponsorships. We have like around 200 people approved on our list. And so figure that if during the summer there are, you know, between 90 and 100 vendors every Saturday, we kind of cycle people through. But, you know, we're really reliant on the volume of vendors and the volume of people to keep our market going. Projecting for COVID and drive-through market, you know, with what we think, like right now, you know, this weekend we've got 19 vendors. So we're, you know, hemorrhaging money. What can I say? We do SNAP double bucks and, you know, on site at the market. We have a really solid program. Everything, you know, is touch. We have a wireless setup that people have to touch an iPad, and we give them wooden tokens, and the farmers take the tokens and bring it back. So it's a very contact intensive system. And in our new model, we have not figured out a way to do that. You know, once COVID hit, I'm sort of echoing what a lot of people have said, which in Alabama was really, you know, late March. We decided, we had our winter market going with about 15 vendors. We decided to just become a contactless drive-through market with pre-order. We had the idea of pre-order, prepay, like this is going to be so easy. We figured that, you know, people could drive through, the farmers would put everything in the trunk or the backseat of people's cars, and, you know, everything that would be awesome. No walk-ups or on-site sales. Anyway, you know, looks great, sounds good. We talked about different ways to approach that. One would be, you know, like what are the different ways we could handle the pre-order, prepay method? One was to use an online tool called Linktree, which you guys might be aware of. It's just like a free tool. If you have a website, you get your list of links to different farmers' websites. They're all there. You just say, here are the farmers that are here today. All you really do as a market is provide the list of links. Everything is handled by the farmers. All the payment and everything is, you know, is out of your hands. All you do is organize which farmers are going to be on your Linktree and set up the space for them to deliver on Saturday. So, you know, pretty much seems like a pretty simple way to do that. Anyway, we decided we were going to do this for the long haul. We have a very conscientious board and group of people. We have a very vibrant medical center in the city that was making it very clear that this was not a joke and it was going to go on for a long time. So we decided to put the effort into it. So the two options that we tried, you know, one was, as I said, was putting the farmers in charge. Really, it was just handing everything over to the farmers and just being a place where everything could be listed. I think in about a week's time, people like me who are really engaged, also engaged customers, figured that this is a terrible, I mean, in my opinion, it's free, but a terrible experience for customers because you're going to all these different websites, or sometimes you're texting people, or sometimes you're going to a Facebook page, and every single time you'd be giving out your credit card information. It happened that in that first week, my credit card was fraudulently charged for a Match.com membership. So, you know, I think there's a lot of risk for customers and just
Let's just go to the let's just go to the platform you're using.
Okay, all right. Well, so anyway, so Linktree, not so great. So we ended up, we decided to get a custom site built. The idea was that it would plug right into our website, that it would be centralized. Again, everything would be accessible to the customer. You give your credit card once, you can browse everything. It's really pretty. It worked great the first week. It was, you know, it didn't matter if farmers had a website already, which many of them didn't. So that actually worked really great, except that it crashed. The second week, it completely crashed. And I guess a lot of people have had crashing issues. But so the pros were, you know, I think that, I mean, obvious that you could order anything you wanted. It's a unified kind of seamless type experience. Customers got really excited. They're just shopping, just browsing and engaging with these beautiful products the way they normally do. We were able to add in a feature for assigned pickup times, and we numbered the farmers so that they could be easily found in the pickup line. And people had customer order numbers so that farmers would be able to easily organize all their packages and boxes. And we had an option which we haven't activated yet. If you want home delivery, if you want your delivery bundled to be in one particular pickup spot. So, and it is a system that is infinitely scalable. And once COVID is over, if we, you know, ever go back to an online market, then there is the opportunity to provide the pre-order, prepaid option to our vendors. We're also in a neighborhood, and a lot of the nearby businesses like the idea of being able to promote their sales on our site and have pickup in their locations, allowing us to also add curated, you know, special boxes like for Mother's Day or for different holidays. So I think that the design of it is pretty awesome. As many people said, I think that the issue is that having a system like that that's custom built presents a whole lot of different problems that you personally have to solve. And when something goes wrong, as it did last weekend, we had to bring in people to dig out where the problems happened. We were personally held responsible for every single refund that had to be made. And, you know, we didn't have a really great support system. So there is an advantage in having a system that's already been tested, that's already, you know, that's got built-in customer service. Customer service is going to be a problem. Again, from the customer's side, I think awesome. The vendors are required to use Stripe as the financial processor that then sends everything directly to them. A lot of the farmers didn't use Stripe, had never heard of Stripe, so they're reluctant to take on a new, to start working with a new system that they're unfamiliar with. And, educating vendors has been a problem. There still are a lot of vendors that are saying, I just don't want to be involved in this online world. I mean, that's a problem. However, again, farmers super successful. And I would say at least 3 or 4 vendors told me that using the system, they sold more than they've ever sold in their biggest day at our outdoor walk around market. And some of the vendors do really, really well. They said, wow, I've never sold this much. Customers, when it worked, the customers super, super happy because they have access to this beautiful stuff, and the online experience was good. And we were able to manage the traffic jams once we figured out our outdoor setup, which I'm happy to share because it's pretty amazing. Again, system crash disaster, but we got through that. The problem with success is, and online things, is that people can make mistakes with orders. And again, because you're not looking a person in the eye when you're ordering, a lot of the customers, I was surprised, getting really pretty frustrated and angry because stuff wasn't, exactly right.
Right, we can, go ahead, just go ahead and drop in.
Yeah, okay. Anyway, I think, we're hoping to, we're going to be back with our one-stop shop next week. We had to go back to the Linktree setup this week because the other one wasn't repaired yet. We're hoping to go back to an outdoor setup soon, and hoping that then we can reintegrate Snap. But the super advantage is that we've all found a really solid revenue stream that will continue long after COVID is gone. And we kind of, it helped people try something new that they wouldn't have, they probably wouldn't have done otherwise.
That's phenomenal. I know that all of you have questions. Lee's going to have some questions there. Thank you, Lee. And she's been great about being in there answering those questions. So we'll have her in the Q&A, of course. But thanks, you could stop sharing. That'd be great. So that is exactly why we're trying to show as many of these as we can, because we know that so many of you are thinking about these different platforms. You're asking great questions on the site. On the Q&A, we really appreciate that. We will continue to answer those questions. Some of them you may want more of an answer. We'll follow up if you want. So again, remember, you can always contact these markets and talk to them and ask them questions as well. So please do that afterwards as well. The last, and certainly not the least, of our presenters is Jackie Hammond-Williams from the Oregon City Farmers Market, Oregon City. Many of you know the name or the market name. There are many things this market is known for, including the development of the Power of Produce program that FMC has moved into a national model. And Jackie has been working for a couple years now with the platform What's Good, which is one that many of you asked about. So Jackie's going to spend the next 10 minutes talking about their platform and how that works. Go ahead, Jackie. We can see your screen too. I just unmuted you.
Okay, so you can hear me okay?
Yeah, maybe speak up a little bit, but you're pretty good.
Okay, good. Well, thank you for this opportunity. I'll go quickly. I don't have so many in-depth slides as everybody else, but we opened our market in 2005. We've been running it year round. We deal with about 75 to 80 vendors year round. We have about 60 vendors in our summer market and between 35 and 45 in our outdoor winter market. Depending on the weather, we get about 800 to 1,200 customers in the winter and about 3,000 in the summer. We have a full-time manager, me, and I'm about to leave tomorrow after 12 years, but we have a great gal coming on. And we have one part-time on-site assistant manager, a bunch of volunteers, and we have about a $95,000 to $100,000 budget. So 2 years ago, we decided that we needed to try and attract those shoppers that weren't already shopping with us. You know, the type that just want to order from the supermarket, drive up, be loaded, and get out. And so when we were at the State Farmers Market Association annual meeting, OFMA here in Oregon, we happened to meet the What's Good company, mobile app company people, and I was intrigued. I was pretty impressed with their presentation. So we started a dialogue and we got on board with them about 2 years ago. To be really truthful, the success 2 years ago was very tepid. Vendors were okay about it, but they were doing okay and didn't maybe see the importance of it. Customers liked the idea, but then they also liked just showing up and shopping on the day. So it kind of struggled a little bit the first year. The second year, last year, we actually had a drop site at a brewery which was really successful and encouraging. And as soon as the virus hit up in Seattle, I knew for a fact it was going to start spreading south and spreading all over America. So I contacted the What's Good company and said, okay, we need to really ramp this up again. We need to start promoting it. I need to get more vendors on it, and we need to really start jump-starting it and getting it going, because I felt this was going to be a model that was going to be really beneficial. So right now we have about 40 vendors on it, but literally every day we're onboarding more and more vendors. We had to limit the amount of vendors that are now in our drive-through pre-order market. In March, we noticed, even with distancing and 6-foot monitoring and hand washing stations, we literally watched our vendors shrink for a start. Some of them were super nervous about coming, and we really watched our customer base drop off a cliff. I mean, it was terrifying. We went from a really thriving winter market to 150 people walking in. So immediately at that point, we knew we had to switch the model and go to a drive-through, which we did pretty much overnight. And I think this coming up Saturday will be our 4th drive-through market. But that paired with promoting the mobile app to our customers has seen, has seen all our customers return. But not only that, we've attracted, I've been chatting to customers that have never shopped at our market, but they've heard about our online ordering. They love that idea. And so we have finally achieved what we set out to achieve, which was attract new customers. So we are a pre-order drive-through market. We do allow a little bit of selling on site. I just realized I'm not switching to slides. Excuse me. Let me just see here. Here we go. So on the left, that's not me. That's actually the new manager coming in. But you can see behind her, rather, we have kind of a U shape of a market site. And customers come in and drive down one side, do a U-turn, come around and drive down the other side. And then in fact, we have another lane that they can snake around into, and it's working really well. We're getting about 320 cars in every day in 4 hours, but we are actually expanding those 4 hours to 5 hours coming up this Saturday. And customers are loving it. And they're even, I put this slide in because they're even like posting cute little signs in their windows saying, we love this arrangement. We love to be able to pre-order. Thank you for staying open and stay safe. So that's really good. You can see here on the left, there's another angle of our line of cars coming in. And on the right is another cute sign. So vendors set up, we have limited the amount of vendors that set up purely because we need all the space in our site for the drive-through. So we've waitlisted craft vendors for now. We've said no to craft vendors. We have just one food truck on site. There's no coffee, no music, no kids club, all that. But we are really opening it up for farmers. Farmers are foremost, and then bakeries and other artisan food vendors, but there's no crafts right now. Vendors will drive, customers will drive and pick up their orders that they have pre-ordered and paid for on the app. They are also allowed to purchase a little bit. We liked allowing that because not everyone who drives in has heard about the pre-ordering, but it does slow the line down. So once we get into May and possibly into June, if we're still in this drive-through model, we may knock off the on-site sales because they do slow the line of traffic down. Our pre-order cutoff on our mobile app is 11 p.m. on Thursday. We wanted it to be Friday, but the farmers preferred it to be earlier than that, so they had time to pull all the orders and put them together. The first week, we did about 11,000, just over $11,500. The second week we did about 12,500, and last week we did a little over 13. So the orders are probably going up about almost $1,000 each week. And as I said, as soon as we went to the drive-through, our customers came back. Sales were great. my own farm is a vendor there, and we know from our past figures that we're probably doing almost twice as much as we would do in a regular market at this time of year with the pre-orders. Customers are actually being our advocate for this pre-order system. They are enjoying it so much that they are actually posting about it, commenting on our Facebook page and Instagram, but also sharing our posts and trying to encourage their friends to sign up for the mobile app and pre-order. They're calling us slick and well organized, and it's really gratifying because, you know, as we all know in market world, we all had to turn on a dime, and it's been an enormous amount of work. Customers
Hey, Jackie, can you move your slides? Two people are loving your slides and they want to see more of them.
Okay, I'm sorry. Yeah, so this is actually the view of the computer site for the online ordering, and then on the right you'll see what you see on the mobile for our pre-order site. I just want to say that customers who don't, and there are some that will never ever download an app. So we're actually directing them to our website, and on our website we have a list of vendors who have phone numbers, emails, websites, etc. One thing customers are telling me that they do like about this site is it's very workable. Even if they don't usually download apps, they feel they can get to it, find it easy to use. They do like sitting at home in their armchair and reading about all the vendors, and they are telling me, and this isn't just one customer, but many customers are telling me this, that they're actually ordering from vendors they've never ordered from before, and they're spending more money because, you know, it's slowed everything down. I think when customers generally walk in a market, it's a very vibrant atmosphere, and they're sort of sidetracked with the things they know they want, but they're not really checking out all the vendors. So this is giving them an option to do that. So what's my next slide? Okay, so here you can see there's two ways to go into this app as a customer. You can either click on products, or what I personally prefer is clicking on vendors, and then customers can click on each individual vendor. They can read their profile, all about their business. Another good thing about this What's Good app is, as more markets in the Portland metro area here in Oregon are using the app, vendors that sell in more than one market just get onboarded immediately by sending a quick email to the company. Hey, I'm going to be in blah, blah market. Could you add me to their mobile app? And it happens in a second. So from the point of view of a market management point of view, we don't spend a lot of time on this. It is no cost to the market. It costs the vendor 5% of their order, and it costs the customer 5% of their pre-order. I haven't heard really any complaints, either from vendors or customers, about that percentage. I think they're realizing this is so user-friendly, they don't mind that 5%. And from a market management point of view, the onboarding is pretty seamless. What I did initially when we started to revamp the mobile app that we'd had for a few years, but had let it go dormant a bit, and since then more newer vendors have joined us, I just emailed those vendors and said, hey, what about this? You know, we've had this all this time, we're going to jumpstart it. Do you want on? And if they came back with a heck yeah, then I would just send their email directly to the company, and they immediately got in touch with the vendor, would walk them through how they needed to sign up to be a vendor on the app, and then they took care of all of it. So for sort of stressed market managers with very limited time, I found this model to be really good. The snap functionality, and let me just see if I've got a slide here. Okay, so here you can see a little bit more about the platform, but I'm going to talk over this and talk a bit about the snap functionality. We did try it a few weeks ago when we first started the drive-through. They added a functionality which said, click here if you are a SNAP customer. well, it became evident that not everybody knows what SNAP means. And we did have quite a few customers clicking on a SNAP as if they were a food stamp customer and not paying at the end. So the company was really gracious and covered any outstanding invoices from vendors. So nobody was really out money, but it was a bit of a snafu. So we've rethought that, and now we are entering in SNAP customers' emails that we compile at the market when they drive up to buy their tokens and to receive their double up food bucks SNAP match. We ask them if they would like to pre-order. We grab their, or they dictate their email to us, and then we enter that in on a Google Doc, send that to, or share that with the company, and then they will put that SNAP customer email into the into the app function. And so when those SNAP customers order, they're immediately registered, and then they don't pay at checkout. They've pre-ordered, they've reserved their goods, and then they come in, they drive to our booth, we run their machine out the window for them, give them their tokens and double up food bucks coupons, and then they loop around real quick, tiny little loop, join in the line of customers, and then shop at the vendors as they drive through and pay with their tokens and their double up food bucks. So that for now, until the federal government gets their act together and starts allowing online platforms to accept SNAP, which I hope Farmers Market Coalition will advocate for ASAP, that really is the best workaround we have. Let me just see if I have another. Maybe that's all I have for that. So benefits, I think I've said quite a few of the benefits. I felt that it has saved our market in this COVID-19 era. We really did notice that business dropped off terrifyingly, in fact. And as soon as we went to a pre-order drive-through, it all came back. Post-COVID, I think this app is going to be hugely beneficial, because there are always going to be customers now that want to pre-order. There's always going to be a contingent that wants to drive through, and I think we will provide that capability. Even if we go back, or when we go back to a walk-in market, we will still have a drive-through component, I feel. You know, should the virus come back in the fall and winter next year, we know that we can morph very easily into an incredibly seamless and practical way to run a market, keep it alive, and keep our vendors in business. So that, you know, it's sort of a reassurance. It's kind of money in the bank for us. I think this will always be a component of our market. Drawbacks, I really tried to find some. It does take the farmers and the vendors longer to get ready for market. I mean, they have to put together a ton of orders, but there are great things like pick lists that vendors can download that will give them their ordering in a very concise way. What else is a drawback? Some vendors are not tech savvy. So I have started to nudge them really hard. I've got a lot of berry farmers coming in later this summer. Some of them are older farmers, and they just kind of glaze over if you say you need to be on our mobile app. So if you are thinking of doing something like this, I would recommend, as market managers, you start priming your vendors now. You tell them the benefits, you quote how well other vendors are doing, how much they're selling, and really prompt them to think about it, and then connect them to the What's Good company, and those nice people there will really reach out and guide non-tech savvy vendors through the process.
Right.
Yep,
Jack,
I think that might be it.
Oh, that's wonderful. Let me ask. I know one question that a lot of people wanted for all the markets to answer. So I'm going to unmute all of our market leaders. I think if I don't, please go ahead. One of the questions, of course, is what do you do with vendors who are not internet savvy, or maybe English is not the primary language? How are you helping? Martha, I think, touched on that. Is anybody else working on how to onboard vendors who are not will not on their own that used to platforms. Anybody have a thought on that?
This is Erin from Countryside. We have a couple vendors. One of them is Amish, so obviously it doesn't use tech. We facilitate that. So via phone call, he tells us what to list on the website every week. It is, it works because it's not a lot of people. I would say 2, maybe 3 of the, 32-ish involved now.
We also in Bloomington have a few vendors that either don't use computers or are Amish. So we've either been having staff just deal with that via phone every week, or we've been helping those vendors find a farm vendor that they know that is computer savvy and help them have like a buddy that does the work for them.
And this is Martha from Mill City. We are working with children of the farmers or friends of their family who can help them, and so develop relationships sort of in their circle to help them through this process, because there'll be more frequent updates needed as we get into the season of what's in season and how, inventory levels and everything. So we're reaching in to their networks.
Yeah, this is Nelson from the Touch, and we had some community volunteers buddy up with each of the vendors to help walk them through. And then there's pros and cons to that, because each of the buddies were also learning the application too. So it was sort of enthusiastic help, but not always with perfect knowledge.
This is Lee at Pepper Place again. With our custom site, we're the site. So getting people onboarded is part of the process. They don't have to have their own site. And in fact, a lot of people are looking forward to having an online opportunity, so they don't have to create one of their own.
Anyone else? I think we got everybody. Another good question is, for anyone who wants to answer this, if you are, some of you have systems that like Martha's where vendors are basically using their own system, but if you have a centralized system like What's Good or Local Foods or Local Line or what have you, do you also allow vendors to use their own sites to get orders placed through their own sites if they have one and do pickups through that? Can they use other vendors' sites if your vendors have any?
We allow this is Rachel with.
Sorry. Oops.
We allow vendors to, each vendor has their own profile on our site through the local food marketplace. And on their profile, they can link to their own website or another store that they have. But normally we don't allow additional sales through those platforms at our pickup. Except for one case where a vendor forgot to update their inventory one week and we allowed them to sell through their platform and then have the pickup at our location.
Hey, Jackie, you've got some questions in the Q&A directed to you that you might want to check and answer. A couple of really good questions for you. Great. Anybody else want to answer that question? Do you allow vendors to use their own systems?
Hey, Darlene, I would say that for Pepper Place, we're allowing it for now, but it actually has turned into a little bit of a problem because some of the vendors that are participating have really active CSA programs that are finding that places they might normally drop off their boxes during the week are not available because they're closed. So they've been using our market also as the drive-through market as a place for them to deliver like an extra 75 boxes that weren't processed by us. So we're getting a lot of other traffic, more cars going through that are just specifically going to those people. And we're gonna come up with the policy soon. It's just a few of the farmer vendors that have awesome CSA programs, but it doesn't necessarily help everybody else that they're just generating more cars and slowing down the traffic.
Yeah, that's an interesting question. Traffic is an issue. Anybody else have
Uh,
an issue or, yeah, Nelson, I think I heard Nelson.
Yeah, we're definitely trying to avoid that, the exact same situation that was described. Having people take an outside orders, but having fulfilled in the market through the pickup, because then we really have no way of predicting what the traffic is going to be like. So yeah,
That makes sense.
something to think about.
Yeah, very good. Well, I know we're at the hour and a half. I know that there's the amount of questions and ideas you all have continue to go. We will let you, we will give the contact info for our presenters. You'll get the Q&A. You'll have the recorded webinar. All of those will be on our website. We will also we will send out a survey for ideas for other webinars if we need them. I feel like I gave it this an hour and a half, and again, it could have gone much longer, it feels like, but we very much thank all of our market leaders for taking this time to present their programs and to give you so much information about their markets. I mean, I hope all of you appreciate how much time this takes for these folks to be presenters with us and how much time away from their market. So if you do have questions for them, I hope that you can, organize them in some manner so that it's easy for them to answer via email in the future. And look at the Q&A because you might be able to find a lot of the answers in that, or really watch the recording again. Sometimes the question has been answered. Maybe it just happened at a time when you were typing. So thank you all, and we'll be getting all of these resources out to you, and they will also be on our Farmers Market Coalition resource library. Thanks again.